Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Game Changer. I'm Mariam Zia. In today's program, we will explore Pakistan's relations with Japan. Pakistan and Japan's diplomatic ties were established back in 1952. And since then, the diplomatic relations between the two countries have strengthened through diplomatic, economic and cultural exchanges. In today's program, we will explore how to further enhance relations between the two countries. If we look at the history, both countries have supported each other on different major world issues. Of course, in 1998, after Pakistan conducted nuclear tests, there were some ups and downs in the diplomatic relations between the two countries, but nonetheless, the diplomatic exchanges and the political exchange programs between the two countries continued. Japan, when we look at Japan, it is one of the third largest economies of the world with a GDP of $5 trillion. In today's program, we will explore how to enhance the economic ties between the two countries and how to enhance the relationship between the two countries if we look it in the backdrop of CPEC as well. To discuss the contours of relationship between the two countries, I'm joined in the studios by Mr. Shehryar Khan, who is expert foreign affairs. Welcome to the program. With him, I'm joined by Dr. Zia Shamsi, who is Director, Peace and Conflict Studies, Center for Airspace and Security Studies. Welcome to the program. We are joined online by Dr. Hussain Javed, who is economist and international affairs expert. Welcome to the program. And we're joined on phone line by Dr. Moazzam Hashmi, who is expert foreign affairs. A very warm welcome to you all in the program. So, Dr. Shamsi, let me start with you. When we look at the diplomatic relations between Pakistan and Japan, how do you see the relationship have evolved over the years?
Thank you very much, ma'am. It's a very good topic, and unfortunately, we have been sidelining Japan,
yes,
although Japan stands.
And a lot of people don't know much about Japan.
Yeah, it's a highly developed country, and the people are very industrious, very hardworking, very friendly, and have a very long history. And it is one of the few old civilizations, and they are very proud of that. Japan and Pakistan have been closely associated as far as the social contract is concerned and the economic dealings are concerned. Just imagine and count on your fingers the number of Japanese companies or the giants who are working here.
Of course.
Honda, Toyota, Suzuki, Sony, Sharp, and the list goes on. So that shows the confidence that Japan had in Pakistan when Pakistan came into being. And as soon as the diplomatic relations were revived or established, as you said, in 1952, these companies started to move in, because at that time the industrial outlook of Pakistan was very positive, and we were really developing very fast until the late 60s, and that is the time when all these companies were established. From there on also, Japan continued to help through different funds and programs, and have participated in a lot of infrastructure development programs and the industrial development programs of Pakistan. One of the most important, perhaps, infrastructure program was the establishment or the construction of Kohat Tunnel. I mean, I have lived in Kohat, and I know how easy it became to move around from Kohat to Peshawar. Otherwise, it would have taken much more than the normal time. And it pains me to mention that once during the time of global war on terror, when the Kohat Tunnel was blown up, it was a very tragic incident, and Japanese also felt very sad about it, and of course the residents of the area also felt. What I am trying to highlight is that Japan is one area where Pakistan must make an effort,
of course,
to enhance already established close cooperation.
Of course, we have to enhance, but Mr. Shehjar, how do you see these relations, especially if we talk about the diplomatic relations have evolved over the years? We do see that Japan appreciates Pakistan's stance on counter-terrorism efforts that it has been doing for the regional peace and security.
So, Mariam, first of all, thank you for inviting me. And before I start talking about Pakistan's current diplomatic relations with Japan, something that the viewers should know, that after the end of the Second World War, when peace and reconciliation was being done, in 1951 there was a San Francisco Peace Conference held in the US, in which Pakistan was one of the only countries from South Asia that was invited by the US government. And in that conference, Pakistan was represented by Mr. Zafrullah Khan, Pakistan's first foreign minister. And he basically took a very conciliatory tone when it came to Japan. And they basically said that the relations with Japan should be based on dignity, it should be based on reconciliation, and Japan should be made a very active member of the international community.
So Pakistan supported Japan on an international
supported
forum.
reconciliation, and Pakistan made a firm stance that these relationships should not be based on any on vengeance or oppression, when it comes to the backdrop of the Second World War. So the formal diplomatic relations were established in 1952, and that is one of the reasons why Japan basically established most of its industrial base and export base in Karachi. And as Shamsi Saab has also mentioned, a lot of industrial giants of Japan basically started their operations in South Asia through Pakistan.
So let me come to you, Dr. Muazzam. When we talk about Pakistan's relations with Japan, how do you see Japan views, or what is the Japan's perception of Pakistan when we talk about in the backdrop of regional peace and security?
Minasan, konnichiwa, ogenki desu ka? Thank you for the show. It's been a long time. I've been studying 35 years, studying Japan, Japanese culture, Japanese language, its politics and everything, and martial arts, other things. So Japanese is very much with me, and this morning I called a retired diplomat, Japanese diplomat in Tokyo, and I just told him that, I'm going to appear and talk about the fabulous 70 years of Pakistan-Japan relationship, our friendly relationship, so much cooperation between us. So I said, give me a feedback. What do you think? Give me a feel or something. So he said, that diplomat, he came twice to Pakistan in 1987, and then he came in 1999. For a long period, a good large stint, and he tried to develop a lot of things, including police reforms in Pakistan. I would say he has done a lot of things about police reforms in Pakistan. And you know what he said? He said, when I was coming in 1987, I talked to somebody who has already served in Pakistan, and I was nervous. I said that, look, there is some crime going on and something like that the country has some terrorism, and this was the Afghan jihad period and all that going on. He said, look, you are going to a fabulous country. Just forget everything, just relax, and you are going to meet marvelous people in Pakistan when you get there. And he said that. He was 101% right about it. So today I wanted to talk about two aspects, that's government to government and people to people.
Of course.
So some people have already.
So what are some of the key areas of cooperation if we talk about government to government level, Dr. Muazzam?
Yeah. About the government to government level, basically the focus is more on the development aspect, and development aspect and help build Pakistan a peaceful country. That Japan has done a lot of contribution. So on the development aspect, that old diplomat said that, what Pakistan has done good to us? Pakistan sent us a lot of cotton. And that cotton actually formed the basis of Japanese cotton industry. A bubbling, brimming with confidence cotton industry, this thing. And also, that diplomat I was talking about, my friend, he said, when I was coming to Pakistan, I looked at the indicators. So they mentioned their indicators in A, B, C, and D categories. He said, when I look at the crime situation, indicator was A. When I look at the terrorism, indicator was A. And when I look at security indicator was A. But he said that I looked at the people's confidence in Japan. He said it was D, which means the highest. So Pakistani people had, Japanese people had highest confidence in Pakistan. So
That
this
is
was
very
something
that is very heartening to hear, Dr. Muazzam. But let's talk about some of the key political issues that shape foreign policy of Pakistan towards Japan.
Okay, in the recent, past, we know that, there was a lot of things. ODA, at one point, ODA, Overseas Development Aid of Japan, through JICA and other projects, that was highest in Asia. So that was the highest ODA share Pakistan was having from Japan. And right now, security is main concern. Why security is main concern? You know that we had casualties at the hands of Taliban in Afghanistan a few years ago. Some Japanese NGO doctor and some reporters at elsewhere. This happened. So since that overflow of terrorism keeps coming to Pakistan, Japan is very much concerned. And why it is very much concerned? Because Japan has invested a lot in a lot of development projects. One of the speakers has already mentioned about, the tunnel and, Indus Highway and the Toyota Motor projects. And not only that, there is a lot going on. So terrorism and security is the main concern, but that is not the main concern for Japan, but it is for the stability of Pakistan. That's what Japan is concerned as a good friend to Pakistan. So this is what is going on, and I mentioned police reforms also. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Muazzam, Dr. Muazzam Hashmi for joining in today's program. So, Dr. Hussain Javed, when we talk about Pakistan's relations with Japan, what are some of the key areas of coordination, especially in terms of economic development, and how these areas have evolved over the years? Because we know that Japan has made a lot of investment in different sectors of Pakistan in terms of social development.
First, I would like to talk about the ideological or philosophical dimension of Japan. After the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they followed the rule of Siddhartha, which it's a proverb that I can think, I can wait, and I can fast. So their ideology is complete on the basis of complete peace and harmony and interfaith harmony. So um, uh, talking about the diplomatic relationship, it reaches to the 70 years in 2022. Well, Pakistan was the front for welcoming. Japan returned to international community suggestion led both countries to establish their diplomatic ties on April 28, 1952,
52.
probably. So, well,
Yes.
Pakistan, yeah, it's 52. So Pakistan was a destination of the first inaugural trade delegation of Japan under the Allied occupation in 1949. Within the first decade of the Pakistan independence, some more 50 multinational Japanese company had already set up their official, mainly for the trading purpose, with the Toyota to show opening its branch office in 1952. So the third ever overseas branch of the Bank of Tokyo, later Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi, and now UFG was established in Karachi in 1953. Well, talking about the bilateral relationship and the development partnership, if I talk about Japan, has remained as one of the major bilateral development Pakistan partner in Pakistan since 1954. It is about the this includes yen loan assistance, development projects, grant assistance for social sector projects, technical cooperation for technology. As some of the participants talked about the JICA, I'll talk later in the part of
Of
this
course.
program.
We'll discuss
Let's
JICA
talk about human
in detail.
development and grassroots support NGOs. And during the 60s, Pakistan occupied a prominent place in the allocation of the Japanese assistance to developing world and remained amongst the recipient of the region. Then I just would like to talk about the fund by the Japan, which is about the Indus Highway. That is one is the Jamshoro Thermal Power Station, Kohat Tunnel, Ben Qasim Thermal Power Station, Dhokla Dadukhel fertilizer plant, Ghazi Brotha hydro plant, and the construction of the machinery training center, Pakistan Institute of the Medical Science, PEMS, which I would we call it, and the construction of the bridge near the Fort Moro, and the consent of the South Punjab to Balochistan via NH-70. And then is a weather forecasting, a surveillance radar system. So this is the main area where and it is, we should not, part away from the Pakistan trade relationship, where it is about the Japan External Organization trade, which is called the GETRO. For the period of Jan August in 2021, the bilateral trade volume between the Pakistan and Japan was 1.1. So in very short, precisely if I say, our export in 2022 was very much good, but now it is in millions. It was in million. It is reduced down in millions just because of the political anarchy and little
Right,
disturbance in the
and the
problem.
current economic climate, but we will be talking more about this and how to enhance the cooperation between Pakistan and Japan. We will take a short break. Back, we are talking about Pakistan's relations with Japan and what are the contours of these relations, how to further strengthen the relations between the two countries. So Mr. Shehryar, when we talk about Japan, of course we know that this is an industrial giant we are talking about. What are some of the key areas of cooperation specifically in terms of IT sector, and how to further enhance some of the areas where there are gaps?
So Mariam, unfortunately, given the fact that Japan is a very developed country, very technologically sound, the cooperation between Pakistan and Japan historically has been in the areas of energy infrastructure and construction of highways, construction of tunnels. Yeah, we haven't really moved more towards cooperation that focuses entirely on IT. So when the special economic zones were established in Pakistan, that is the first time when Pakistan and Japan have started working on cooperation in terms of IT infrastructure and IT development. Other than that, when it comes to...
So what are some of the major ongoing projects between Pakistan and Japan?
So other than the economic development projects,
like some of the projects Dr. Stan has already mentioned.
Yeah, so these are mainly focused on power, they're focused on infrastructure. One of the key players in Pakistan's economic development has always been JICA, Japan's International Cooperation Agency, and they basically conduct a lot of bilateral aid projects with Pakistan, socio-economic development, and they focus mainly on development of agriculture, irrigation services. Other than that, they also work on economic infrastructure, economic development, education. So these are the areas where Pakistan is cooperating with Japan.
So let's talk about JICA. What are some of the major areas in which JICA has invested in Pakistan, and how do you see it has impacted positively Pakistan's economy?
Yeah, in fact, the beauty of Pak-Japan relations lie in the form of Japanese investment and not the aid. Okay, why? Because Japanese, they believe that aid is not something that can help the socio-economic development of the recipient state, but it is the investment. And since Pakistan offered the one window investment opportunity during the early 60s and late 50s, so therefore Japanese were perhaps the first ones to grab that opportunity, and that really helped a lot. And through JICA, only the socio-economic development, especially in the rural areas, they were very helpful.
So how does JICA ensures that all the projects that they are conducting or are investing in Pakistan, they are aligned with Pakistan's own national development programs?
They have a very robust mechanism. They do a lot of research before getting into the aid programs or the assistance programs, and they take a lot of help of the local NGOs and the consultant agencies, and after that they come and invest, and their investment in socio-economic development and rural development is highly appreciated by Pakistan, and that was done mainly through JICA.
So
As far as
what mechanisms are in place to
that's
engage
what I
with the
said,
local?
that they have a very good mechanism of monitoring it. While implementing their projects, they monitor it whether the fruits of their investment or their effort is going to the people or not.
Right.
And that is where the JICA projects are far more successful than perhaps even the American investment programs or the American aid programs. You asked a question to Mr. Shahryar about IT development. Japan, being a very highly developed country, has a lot of appetite for further expanding its base, because it really feels very sore that it was a second largest economy for over 50 years and now it has gone into third position.
Third
So
place, yes.
they have invited, they have recognized that Pakistan has the talent, and they have invited a lot of Pakistani IT professionals to come and work in Japan, and that's what has already started. Another area of cooperation where they have opened their doors is on the food department. That is the seafood import. They have cleared now, and they have established their own warehouses and cold storages in Karachi. They monitor it, that the quality is ensured, and then they import, and Pakistan has started earning that. They like Pakistani mangoes, like every nation, and they are very keen on that, and they have their own mechanism of ensuring that the quality mangoes are coming. So Japan is a very, very interesting country, and the society is very interesting. The politically highly charged. They changed government every 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. There is no apprehension in that, and they like Pakistani people. They like Pakistan because of various reasons. Because we have a lot of religious tourism for them. I can quote you an incident. I was in the Hunza area, in the northern areas, and I saw one Japanese, an old man, and he was holding a National Geographic magazine which had a title photo of K2 or Nanga Parbat. And he was moving around in that area to see that particular view. Just imagine his craze. He says that I just want to see from where this picture was taken. And therefore, for last 7 days, he was moving around in that area, because they are rich people, is a rich country. They like to invest when they go out, and they like to spend during tourism. So Pakistan has a lot of opportunities in the northern areas to offer them tourism, and in the south, along the coastline. Pakistan has a coastline of about 800 kilometers, and Japanese want to invest in Gwadar because they have been investing in Pakistan's infrastructure for last over 50 years.
Of course, we will be talking about that, how Japan is interested in CPAC and how this will be enhancing regional connectivity. But Dr. Hassan, when we talk about JICA's work in Pakistan, how do you see this JICA's work in Pakistan align with Japan's own foreign policy goals with respect to the region?
Firstly, I wanted to, humbly disagree with Dr. Shamsi, because he always talk about that Pakistan is into the trade process. Yes, we are never into the trade process. The FDI, we need FDI from the Japan, and they have the 50 plus multinational organization over here. So please try to understand that the loan of Pakistan is 817.47 billion yen up to 2022. Grant of Pakistan in 294.59 billion yen up to 2022, and technical cooperation to Pakistan is 63.20 billion yen up to 22, and then is 779 million yen in the culture grant aid. So if there is a lot of grant, how can we say that? Well, talking about the JICA-led project in the collaboration with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Sindh School Education and the Literacy Development in address to issue of the out of school children, approximately 22.8 million in the country currently. And well, I just wanted to talk about the PITAK, Pakistan Industrial Technical Assistance, have taken the grant from the JICA, and they have spoiled all the project over here. And they have lost million of the dollar over there in the JICA plant. That's also in the Karachi. And they have not done with the skill education. They have installed the steel leach program, a molding program, and they have installed a wonderful technology over there, but they have spoiled from 70s till 2022. And you can see that the Pakistan Industrial Technical Assistance Center and other department under the Ministry of Industry have spoiled badly. Well, Japan has provided scholarship to Pakistan students to study in Japan and technical programming.
But let's talk about, we will be talking about education sector later in the program, but let's talk about how JICA's role in Pakistan is impacting the socio-economic development of the country.
See,
Like
100 and million of the technical students over there, still they are working in it, but all the technology is obsolete now. Now JICA is not sending anything to Pakistan because they have spoiled all the projects. I'm telling you, you can go and get an audit from the Pakistan Industrial Technical Assistance Center. I was the special advisor to the Pakistan Industrial Technical Assistance Center. All the technology is
so these are so what were the challenges that this program could not work like it was meant to work? What were some of the key challenges, and how could we address these challenges so that such aid programs or such assistance programs that are good for the economic development of the country could be running?
See, we need a technocratic setup. We need a technical, fixed people on the chair of the CEO, director generals, so they understand what is going to happen. We need a best of the best engineers over there to run the JICA project. If somebody is coming from the non-engineering area and working in the JICA program, how can he handle the JICA project? So there are the 100 of the project and 100 of the companies, as you said, the Toyota and the other companies are working here. We are not giving any skill input over there. We are not transforming our student into the skill working program. Same as the problem with the China and the Japan. Japan wanted to have our Japan asked us to send 800, more than 8 million people to Japan. They need a skilled worker people. They need education literacy program. They need out of school people and who work in skill education. They want us. They want a human resource and export of the human resource, but we are unable to.
We will be talking more about it, but we have to take a short. Welcome back. We are discussing Pakistan's relations with Japan and different assistance programs run by Japan in Pakistan. So Dr. Shamsi, like Dr. Sen earlier mentioned, that there are a lot of challenges. How do you see these challenges and what needs to be done to address these challenges so that these economic development programs are running in the country?
Actually, these challenges are not something new, or they are not related to Japan only. Like security situation of Pakistan for last 40 years now, and then the bureaucratic hiccups that we have for the investors. So they are not directly related to Japan. What I was
like
suggesting
they are not
is,
exclusive to
of
JICA
course,
project,
of
right?
course, they are not exclusive. As far as if we have our internal problems, and if the JICA projects were not executed as they were designed or desired, that's not Japanese problem.
Of course.
That is our problem. If you're not getting enough FDIs, that is our problem. We have not been able to offer ourselves, offer our strategic location to Japan. Otherwise, Japan has been forthcoming in every department. I mean, somebody just mentioned that in the broadcasting also, Japan has given a lot of assistance to us in the virtual university, in Allama Iqbal University, in PTV itself. So, Japan has been forthcoming. It is our problem that the experts who were dealing with Pak Japan relations probably did not avail that opportunity which existed from time to time.
So what needs to be done to address these challenges and address these issues, or you are saying that these are not exclusive and they will be, keep on happening?
It has to be done with the political stability in Pakistan, number one, and then working on exclusively on our national interests. If economic development and people's well-being is one of our national interest, only then you can invite other countries to come and invest, or even their aid or help or assistance will be utilized properly.
Right.
Otherwise not.
Of course. So, Mr. Shayyar, when we talk about investment, we know that China-Pakistan economic corridor is an important opportunity for all the countries and Japan for that matter as well. So, how do you see Japan's interest specifically in special economic zones, and what needs to be done to facilitate Japanese investors in Pakistan and more businesses coming in, specifically automobile industry if we talk about?
So, Mariam, I would like to carry forward Dr. Shamsi Saab's point that Japan, even though it's one of the largest exporters in the world, it also imports a lot. So, Japan's total imports every year are around about $500 billion. And Pakistan just exports around 0.05% of that. And mainly Pakistan's exports are circling around $250 million on average every year. And mostly that's like raw material. So Pakistan needs to move away from supplying raw material to industrial states and like start working on value chains and developing more value-added products that can be sold into the Japanese market. That's number one. You talked about special economic zones and Japan's interest in investing. So Japan, over 90% of Pakistan's automobile share goes to Japan with like Toyota, Honda, Suzuki.
So what will Japan play in supporting Pakistan's efforts in development of infrastructure when we talk about in the backdrop of CPEC and regional connectivity as well?
So Mariam, talking about the special economic zones in Pakistan, one thing we also have to keep in mind is that Pakistan is one of the largest recipients of loan program and assistance from the Asian Development Bank. And Japan is one of the largest contributors to ADB. So even indirectly, Pakistan gets a lot of support from the Asian Development Bank. Asian Development Bank basically is providing technical assistance and the loan program for the CARIC development, Central Asia Regional Cooperation Framework as well. In that framework, a lot of like road infrastructure, connections between Central Asian republics and Pakistan, and developing and providing the technical assistance for how special economic zones are developed in Pakistan and what frameworks will be used, what incentives will be provided to the investors. That technical assistance comes from Japan.
Of course. So, Dr. Hasnain, when we talk about these programs as well as CPEC, how do you see what are the prospects of Japanese investments in Pakistan and what could be the challenges that could be addressed by the government?
See, we just have to create the ease of doing business, and we need to take up the board of investment into the right path first. And second is we have the 9 economic zones starting from the Rashakai to the Bostan to the Faisalabad Industrial Park, and there are 9 economic zones and special allocated space. So we have worked so well in 2013 for the allocation of the space. Now, Pakistan mainly exports textile, leather, and sport goods to Japan, while it imports machinery, iron, steel, and products. So the Japan External Trade Organization, GETRO, under the GETRO, we can have the trading partnership with the CPEC, and we can welcome Japan over there in the CPEC economic zone. So CPEC is not about the China-Pakistan economic zone. our economic zone is available, and we can welcome everyone, even in the South, even to Iran, even to Japan, to work over here. So the Pakistan export to Japan amounted by the 292 million, while its import from Japan were valued as about 821 million. So the Japan automobile sector, remember that Japan was agrarian-based economy. They turned into the automobile and the technological, setup. Why not Pakistan? I mean, along with the agriculture structure, we can transfer into the automobile, we can transfer into the different department, we can transfer into the technical fertility development. So ongoing project of the gravity flow water supply scheme in Haripur city is built with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. So as you have mentioned JICA earlier, so I'm telling you about the assistance. They are keep on giving you the assistance in a better way. So the project is based on the cost-effective water supply arrangement, and it will provide drinking water to residents. Now, I just wanted to talk just little about for the 30 seconds that we have the following institutional mechanism, which is annual consultation, consultation or at the foreign secretariat level. Then is a security dialogue. Then is expert level working group. Then is the official level discussions, export control, and then export level working group on the counter-terrorism corporation. And of course, Japan is also assisting on the weather development, weather forecasting, weather radiations, weather forecasting developments. So we need to work more on the specific issues, as Japan don't want to be into the part of the nuclear deals. So they have little disagreement with us, but we are the security state. We have our dynamics are little different, but
Pakistan's geopolitical situation, location in the region. How do you see Japan? What is Japan's perception of Pakistan? Specifically, we talk about regional peace and security, and with regards to Japan's own foreign policy, how it has evolved over the years.
You know, Pakistan's strategic relevance cannot be overstated. Why? Because the Indus Valley, when a man looks from the moon, is perhaps the most lucrative location on the globe because of its topography, because of its climatology, because of its terrain, because of its weather, and because of its productivity or of the soil. So we have the wherewithal which has been given to us by the nature. It is only that we, the users, have not been able to project it or present it to avail the opportunity that has existed because of the strategic location.
Right. So how can Pakistan and Japan in particular can work together for the regional peace and security, and to enhance the regional connectivity options, like we talk about these economic corridors?
I think in one of the earlier programs I did mention about Misaka. I have written a piece on this. Middle East, South Asia, Central Asia. This is 40% of world's population, because from Central Asia you get connected to Russia, and from South Asia you get connected to China, and from Middle East you get connected to everywhere, to Africa, North Africa especially, and from Afghanistan and Central Asia you get connected to Europe. So this is more than 40% population, and Pakistan can be the center of gravity, especially because of the China-Pakistan economic corridor through Gwadar. So Gwadar being the landing point, you can move the trade and goods and services everywhere across the globe.
Of course.
Okay, it is we who have to offer this to the world. And there is one phrase that I am very fond of and I keep writing about, is the productive engagement. I am against these aids and assistance and all, because we have enough to offer to the world if we engage them productively. We offer them something, they come and invest, so that it is for the mutual benefit.
It is for the mutual benefit. So, Mr. Shehzyar, what is the future trajectory of Pakistan-Japan relations, and what needs to be done to further strengthen these bilateral relations?
So I basically see three areas of cooperation when it comes to the regional dynamics. I see cooperation between Pakistan and Japan when it comes to bringing peace and stability in Afghanistan. That's like one of the key areas where Japan is showing interest. And as Dr. Shamsi Saab also mentioned, all of these regional connectivity projects, they basically depend on peace and stability and security in Afghanistan.
Of course.
Unless or until Afghanistan is unstable, these projects will always be a dream. And Japan agrees with Pakistan that economic development and economic security in Afghanistan will bring peace and security. Other than that, Japan regularly will be conducting dialogue with Pakistan when it comes to nuclear non-proliferation. That's like one area where both of these countries are having a lot of discussion. Climate change will
and
be
what would be the outcome of these discussions? Because we know that previously Japan had very closed policy with security dynamics regards.
So that was in 1998 when Pakistan first conducted the nuclear programs. There was like some sort of like misgiving on the side of Japan, which is like very understandable because of Japan's history as well. But that is now behind us. Pakistan is a very responsible nuclear state and is, that sort of like cooperation is like going hand in hand. The third area of cooperation that I see is climate change. Japan being a very technical leader when it comes to global technology. Japan and Pakistan will be cooperating a lot when it comes to providing lucrative and innovative solutions in building Pakistan's climate resilience. And obviously Pakistan's cooperation in terms of economic development, that will continue. And I see Japan becoming a very key player when it comes to investing in Pakistan's special economic zones as well, and that cooperation needs to extend. And Pakistan needs to provide a lucrative regulatory framework and a lucrative
economic environment
so Japan can invest freely. Japan is already committed on investing in hybrid cars as well. Toyota Motors has started this initiative and they are already starting a plant with an investment of $100 million. So that cooperation is now underway, and for that Pakistan will have to basically move forward with the
so there is a lot of
development.
potential when we talk about Pakistan's relations with Japan. Thank you very much, Mr. Shahryar Khan, for joining in today's program. Thank you very much, Dr. Zia Shamsi, for joining in today's program. Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan Javed, for joining in today's program. In today's program, we discussed about Pakistan's bilateral relations with Japan. Of course, we know that Pakistan and Japan relations have a lot of history, and there are a lot of potential to further enhance and further strengthen these relations between the two countries. Pakistan has the requisite manpower which can be maximized, and we can attract Japanese investors in Pakistan, and a lot needs to be done on this area as well. That's all from Game Changer tonight.